Hello and welcome to Ecoholics. Today in this video, we are going to talk about the examination of UPSC Indian Economic Services, which is going to happen in June 2024. The questions related to this examination are plenty, and today in this 1 month, what has to be done, what needs to be done for this examination, we are going to check that out. The very first and important thing that everyone thinks about and ponders about, all the candidates have this question in their minds that what to study. What to study in this last 1 month of the examination zone. When you are entering into that zone and you have all the anxiety in your mind and you have to do a lot of practice and study for your revisions, make notes, think about different other things around, and also take the peer pressure of things that are happening around you, this video is going to help you in finding the best solution which you need to practice from today itself, so that you are going to have peace and tranquility while attempting this examination. So, getting ahead of this video, let's understand what we are going to focus in this video. This video is specifically for the students who are going to attempt UPSC Indian Economic Service examination of the June 2024. And in this video, we are going to mainly cover these 3 areas in 5 different points. We are going to cover the focus, where the students need to focus. What is the focal area? What are the purposeful, productive things that you need to take into consideration? And you need to also think about this, that there are plenty of things that you might be thinking that, okay, ma'am is telling about these 5 points, but there are so many other points as well. But let me remind you once again that these are those 5 important points which have to be done in priority basis. And these are going to help you in sustaining your hard work that you have done in the last year for this examination, right? The second is practice. Practicing is very important. Many students think that I'll read my notes, I'll read these books, and that will be all. In this last month, I can just read and that will be all. But let me remind you once again, this examination is a written examination. This is not a pre-exam and then mains exam. This is just a written examination, and that will unlock your dream opportunity to give the interview in front of the UPSC panel. So, which is why practice is more important. Thirdly, strength. I'm also going to tell you what are the most important things that are going to enable you to strengthen yourself mentally and physically, right? So, let's begin with our 5 points that you need to remember before you attempt the UPSC IES examination of June 2024. This is for the purpose of this last 1 month that you have. The very first thing is intensive revision. When I say revision doesn't mean that you go cover to cover reading all the books and reference materials and study materials that you have. Revision is always done from your notes, because imagine that you have had books and study material initially, right? Out of these books and study material, you prepared some notes. Now, because these notes are important observations that you have noted down from the books, reference material, study material, from the lectures, so these are very crisp. These are going to remind you of whatever you did in the last 6 to 8 months of your practice period, and that is the most important thing. So this is not the time to make new notes right now. This is the time where you revise your notes. Okay, next, revision has to be done from the current affairs. Current affairs are very important, and they have to be revised on regular intervals. It's often said that when a news is always a news when it's fresh. After that, it's just a memory. So which is why you need to inquire on those important memoirs, what has happened in the past 6 to 8 months in Indian economy, what are the most important things that we have covered? The students of Ecoholics already are looking at the weekly current affairs, and which is very, very important study notes which you are getting weekly. So make sure that whatever compilation you have done up until now in those last 8 months, 10 months of the weekly current affairs of crisp economic current affairs, they are very important for revision. So next is what? Your current affairs. And the third thing that you need to revise is the important formulae and diagram. So these are the things that come in handy. Let's say that you have to make a diagram for a certain elasticity question, okay, or a certain question related to consumer behavior, producer behavior, or a certain model which is in mathematical economics. Now, if you have wholeheartedly practiced these diagrams with labels, what will happen? You will always be ahead of your competitor, you will always be ahead of yourself, because you will always know that, okay, this is the diagram that I can quickly put into my answer writing. It will enhance your answer writing, right? So the third thing that you need to revise is diagrams and any numerical portion that that requires your vision for the paper GE1. Right? So that's that is required in intensive revision in this last 1 month. The second very important thing that you need to do is practice the mock tests. Now, practicing these tests, whether it is the test series that you are giving right now, or whether you are attempting a certain test. Now, what happens? Usually students start attempting the tests, but after a point of time, there's a gap that they might feel. Maybe because they feel that, okay, this portion is not yet covered. My Indian economy module is not yet fully covered up until my satisfaction level. My GE1 portion of microeconomics or econometrics is not yet covered up until my satisfaction level. Now, what happens here? That you are going to fall into the loop of just thinking that I want to make this syllabus perfect. I want to completely study the syllabus. So this is the time where you have to stop thinking about this and start practicing. How much ever you know, start practicing. Your mind is very, very smart, and it will automatically grasp things which are happening around. If you're reading newspapers, if you're reading current affairs, if you have done your proper study in the last 6 to 8 months, if you have studied the lectures, the material, the references properly, then you will definitely be good in this practice test as well. And by being good, I don't mean that you have to score outstandingly 100 out of 100 marks. It means that you have to write each and every answer. Okay? So, writing is more important than any marks that you receive, right? Attempting the question wholeheartedly is more important than any remarks that you receive. Why? Because if you will just be afraid of your marks and remarks all the time, it will just be an obstacle in between you and your success in this exam. So remember to practice. Then the next thing that is there is check out the weak areas. Now, every time there are going to be certain weak areas of every candidate. You must have watched the videos of the toppers of the last year's examination, who themselves stated that, okay, my last year my G1 module was very difficult to practice, or my environmental economics or growth and development was very weak. I was very weak in theoretical portion. I was very weak in quantitative portion. This means what? When a topper is speaking of their weaknesses, it means that every person has certain weaknesses. So it's normal. Now, when you normalize your weakness, you identify, recognize your weakness, now is the time that you start working on it, right? So how are you going to start working on it? You are going to start working on it by firstly First method is identification of the weak area, right? Then secondly is making necessary upgrades. Okay, now what does this mean? Let's say that in microeconomics, your consumption, production theory, distribution theory is good, fantastic, but you're a little confused in the last portion of, let's say, welfare, or you're confused in last portion of income distribution, where we talk about market structure and possibilities of game theory, etc. Now what happens if in this whole module there's a slight margin of upgradation? If you slightly push yourself more, you start practicing, looking at the content, why am I getting stuck in this area, what can I do so that I'll be getting more marks in this module. In this way, what will happen, you're going to expand the bandwidth of that particular module, and so your marks in that module are going to also expand. So look at that way. If you are stuck in a growth and development international economics module, let's say international economics module, you have covered the theories, but you have not covered the current affairs related to international trade, BOP, etc. Now what will happen, you are going to know some information is there, you know international economics, but you don't know what is the application of international economics. So this is the margin that you have, that you need to upgrade, so that you extend the bandwidth of marks and your own understanding, right? Don't attempt anything new, something that you have not understood up until now, something which is brand new, like looking out for new theories that may arrive in the paper, looking out for new theories that may come in the exam. Don't go in that hunt right now. That search is right now not required. And why? Because that will just make you more confused and more anxious. So that's not required. You just need to focus on making some necessary changes, some tiny changes, so that you can extend that bandwidth of marks and your own conceptual clarity. Then the fourth important point is to develop an answer writing style or strategy. Every time we focus on the answer writing strategy, there have been numerous videos in which we have trained you, mentored you on developing an answer writing strategy or looking at the answer writing in a specific way. Now this is the time where you experiment, where you actually apply. Right? So now, what do I mean by experiment? You need to develop your answer writing style. How am I going to write my answers in the GE1 paper? How am I going to write my answers in GE2 and 3? What current affairs can I include in the Indian economics paper? This is what I mean by developing the answer writing strategy. There is a structured answer writing strategy that you already know about, but now is the time where you make some tiny amends, some tiny changes. For example, you have some mind maps that you have made in your notes, okay, and some line diagrams that are very handy and very structured, and you remember them. Instead of writing the whole answer descriptive way, you can also insert those diagrams wherever necessary, wherever you think that there's some scope of drawing that line chart, so that your life will be easier, your answer will be more interesting to for the examiner. So that is a slight amendment that you can make. Some examples that are very important for your general English and general studies paper. You also have these two papers, and general English is a very important paper where you are going to have a very different way in which your the exam is conducted. You have an open mindset from where you go. There's no core economics that you have to focus on. So which is why you have to go beyond that language barrier, language anxiety. Start reading some nice quotations. start assembling some nice quotations, some interesting things that have been stated by some very important scientists or literati or some very important economists. That way you will remember these tiny things that you do right now and you can implement them in the answers. These are the ones that will develop a very unique answer writing style for you completely, right? And then the last and the final, but not the the least important. This is very important. The fifth point is related to management of time, management of your own health, physical and mental health. We know that when an examination is tagged with the word UPSC, it automatically becomes very severe. But if you are attempting this examination, this in itself means that you have crossed that bridge, and now is the time that you actually show what you have done up until now. The success will only come when you are mentally and physically available in the examination. The exam runs for 6 hours and more each day. So these 3 days are going to be very tough on your hands, on your shoulders, in the sitting position that you are going to write the examination. So what you need to do is start practicing that. Start giving the mock test in one position. While you sit through those 3 hours, you will notice that your hands are shaking, your fingers are paining. So that is the time where you train your fingers, your hands for the actual examination. Time management is very important. Don't make a hassle of everything that, okay, I'm going to study also, I'm going to do revision also, I'm going to look at my mental health also. No, you can't do everything at once. You have to plan everything. So plan each day and implement each day. Every night you are going to feel more confident about yourself that, okay, I have accomplished this much. Finally, treating mental health and physical health is equally important. So meditating every day is equally important as you practice some exercise, some running, some or the other exercise. If you're doing some gym or some some kind of sport, do it for an hour, do it for half an hour. Feel some physical strength in you so that you can do this examination well, perform in this examination well. So these are the 5 most important things that you should start doing from today so that you are well aware, well acquainted with the examination that is coming in this 1 month, which is the UPSC Indian Economic Service examination. So all the very best, and I'm sure that you are going to definitely achieve success. That's it for this video. I'm going to share some insights on different other examinations in my upcoming videos. Till then, stay tuned to Ecoholics.